everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this small fur tutorial that I'm going to do today. I just want to thank those that took part in Diggle's Eye. I know I've had quite a lot of really good feedback from it. You've really enjoyed it, and some of the photos that I've had so far have been brilliant. I know a lot of you have drawn him and not posted, and that's absolutely fine. I do hope that you get that confidence with me, because you're not going to get any negative feedback from me. It's all just going to be encouragement. So if not, keep drawing in secret. Hopefully you'll enjoy this, and then and it'll improve your skill. Gonna draw this fox. Now, I wasn't going to do this today, but I'm currently drawing a nice big piece of Freya, and I just needed a little bit of a break because I'm in one zone. It's the same amount of pencils throughout, and sometimes it just gets a little bit tedious, so you just kind of need a little bit of a break, just to keep your mind nice and fresh, so when I go back to her and finish her for the rest of the evening, I know I'll do a better job. So she's currently just over at the other side of the room whilst I do this, so I'm going to really enjoy this. Now we are going to draw the eye, but we're not going to focus on it as much as we did with Diggle, because obviously his tutorial was all about drawing a horse's eye, whereas this is all about fur. But if we don't put the eye in, it's going to look really quite strange, because what I wanted to focus on is all the fur because it around the eye, because it's all different lengths. So you've got really short hairs underneath the eye going down into the cheek, and then they go quite long, and then you've also got fur that's going this direction, and then fur that goes that direction, and then it all of a sudden just goes straight to the side and then down. So we're going to focus all on this zone here. We might, if I've got time, bring in a little bit of the bridge of the nose, so you can start seeing how you can make your 3-dimension effect on the nose. This fox is really quite light in colour as well. I found that when I was drawing him in colour, usually they're really quite dark, but he's very, very light over here. So I thought that'd be really good to use, purely because, you know, foxes have quite deep fur layers, and we're only going to get that if we build upon our pencils. So hopefully this is going to look really quite nice. Hopefully you've got your 2H, 2B, 3B, 4B and 5B. Probably won't use the 5B as much, maybe we'll use that around the eye. If you haven't already, with your Tombow mono eraser, if you just chop the end a little bit, so you almost make like a point, like I've done here, that'll really help with your fur. You don't have to do this. I just find that that is much, much easier when drawing in those tiny, tiny hairs. So if you haven't already, do. If you don't want to, that's fine. And then obviously you need your putty eraser as well. So we are going to draw, we're going to draw this eye, but we're not going to focus so much on it. So I'm just going to start with my 2H, and then just we'll go straight into the actual eye itself. So really light pressure. So remember, your light pressure is that, medium pressure, that, and then really hard pressure. But generally, hopefully you've noticed, I generally just work on light pressure. Now I had a really good question about Diggle's eye and about stopping from your work smudging when you're drawing, because obviously I always generally start with eyes and then I move on to other sections of the drawing, which sometimes would mean that I'd overlap. And it was a really good question, and it really did get me thinking, because I used to really struggle with this. So what I do suggest, if you are going to do this a little bit more full time, is do get yourself some glassine paper. Looks a little bit like tracing paper. I've got a little piece here, and sometimes like I'll put it over and then I'll draw, and it just helps. Just smudge this in with your smudging tools, or blending stick, sorry. It just helps hold the graphite in place, but you will always get a little bit of smudging with graphite. It's kind of something you can't avoid. The pupil actually sits here. It's a very strange shape. It like goes right down to the base. I haven't put this on my own line art, but on your one I will. I'll do a little bit better on my line art for you. I just wanted to just get the initial drawing down. Now with your line arts, I actually draw them myself. So I actually sketch them out twice. And I have seen like other artists, which are great, don't get me wrong, they actually use Photoshop to do it, but I found that it just didn't work for me. Like they'd always look really cartoony, and also I'd get the wrong guidelines. So in the end I just thought I'll just draw my own, and hopefully it worked out quite nicely. I say we're not focusing so much on this pupil, but it's important that we get it in. Now it is oval over the top. I think that must be like a skyline or something, and then it goes dark. Now don't go too hard here. This is actually really black, but we actually have fur going into it. I've got 90s music on today. I'm just going to go a little bit harder just around this bit area. I just don't want to lose that eyelid. Okay, go for your 2B. Mine's rolled off down the sofa. Another question I was asked is how sharp I have my pencils. I do generally have them quite sharp for graphite. When I'm using colour, I don't use them as sharp unless I'm really pulling out some zones, because otherwise, because they're quite expensive to replace as it is, I don't really want to work with really tiny pencils. There you go. But with my graphites, they're not as expensive to replace really, so. But yeah, they are generally, they're not massively sharp. There's almost like a blunt end to them. But you don't see me sharpening them as much, really. Okay, it's kind of like a little bit of detail here. As I say, we're not really focusing on this eye. Let's go around the outside. So I'm still using my 2B here. And we're just gonna just draw this little section in. This is a little bit darker, but still quite light pressure, but because it's a 2B, a little bit more graphite does go down on the page. Yeah, my line art's terrible. As I say, I just quickly sketched it because I wasn't actually planning to do this. But yours will be much better, I promise. There's like a tiny little bit of a reflection there. I'll just leave that bright white for now. Okay. Now this line is actually quite dark for the fox. And then it does point into that corner. I also been chatting to a couple of people who did the last tutorial, and obviously when people start posting their work, you know, I do have some followers that already do this, and generally, I mean, I learn from Bonnie Snowden all the time. I'm one of her Patreons, and if I'm stuck on like a colour selection or I just need a little bit of refreshing, I do go onto her Patreon and have a little look through and see if there's anything on there that's quite similar to what I'm working on, and then I'll have a go at it. There's no competition where it comes to you posting your work. The guys, hopefully, I mean, I've seen the groups that they've come from, which is actually from Bonnie's group, and they are such a lovely bunch of people. They're so encouraging, so I'd be surprised if anybody said anything. And also, it's not really a competition in terms of who can draw the better version. I mean, I'm posting my interpretation of what was Diggle's eye, and I would say that when one of them posted theirs, it was brilliant. Like, I almost felt it was better than mine, but it isn't about that. I'm really proud of my work, and we are just gonna put, just with your 2B, keep on your 2B here, just gonna take away some of this white because it isn't all white, but keep that line up. The end of the day, like, everyone's style is so different. Like, my style is so different to a lot of other people, so some people might watch this and not necessarily gain anything from it because they do something completely different and they have their own version of what works for them. Just find my tiny blending stick, so I think it's rolled down the side of the sofa. So I do have quite a few blending sticks. Oh no, I've actually put that folder away. It's never helpful. Oh, here it is. Here you go. So just got my little one here, just to build that back in. Now I'm not using my usual Bristol board because I've got a couple of commissions coming up. So this is still Bristol board, but it's not my De La Rani. Can't even pronounce that today. You don't necessarily need to have that specific brand. This is actually just the Ranger Zone. I always liked it. I'm just going to switch to 3B just to bring out this pupil. I use this quite a lot. It's still a Bristol board smooth, but it's just saves me having to replace the stuff I use for my commissions a little bit sooner. Okay, we're not going to go too dark now because we are going to come back to that. Okay, as I say, it's just a quick sketch around this eye, and then it kind of stays, like it kind of goes a little bit like so. So I'm just using like a blunt end here just to get this like fuzziness. There's like a little bit of fuzziness. So just a little tip for you there. You don't have to draw tiny weeny dots. If you just almost blunt your pencil, you'll get that fuzziness. And then I'll just go back onto a little bit of medium pressure on that, I guess. Same around this pupil, because I want to make sure that we keep that it's there. And then I'm just filling that zone. And there's no harm in learning from others at all. So yeah, I'll say it again. Don't be ashamed to post your interpretations. We all start somewhere, so I'd love to see it. Even if you just drop me a private message, even to my personal page, I don't mind. For now, anyway. Unless I start getting absolutely bombarded, then I might reconsider that suggestion. There you go. Alright. That's not bad. I'd say just bring this back down to the edge. It's hard to see the actual shape of this one because it's so dark in places. And these are clouds, so by the looks of it. Okay, that'll do for now in the eye. So let's start thinking about the fur. So you'll want to use your Tombow quite a lot. You'll be using your blending stick as well. So that's going to be our go-to. Probably won't go to a 3B for a little while. Just gonna, there's quite a line for that. We have like this little streak that goes down. Cool. Alright, that'll do. Nice, quick and easy little eye there with very little detail. If this was me actually drawing, we'd go over that and over that and over that. What's something you need to remember when you're drawing them is have a look at the photo, like from afar. Make sure you're not being too harsh with your pencils, because you might find that there's actually a real softness to some of the expressions, and when you put your graphite down too much, you can easily take away that softness. So that's something I always try and look for is, you know, is it a harsh zone? And with this, what we're about to do, it's very soft. So we don't want to lose that too much. So it's, to be honest, I don't think we'll go for a 4 or a 5B, but I've got them out just in case. So I usually start with the main base of the layers. So what we'll do is, I've already drawn a couple of guidelines for you to see where the directions that we're going to go in. If you make a mistake, don't worry, it's graphite, as I said to you before. we can always come back to it. The lighter you are, the easier it is for you to correct your issue or correct your mistake. Again, you don't have to follow everything exact. You've just got to make that illusion. So we'll start with this sort of zone. This is a really quite strange thing, but what we're going to do is we're going to do small curves like so, and they're really, really small. So you just, so it's almost like creating like a bone structure here, and then it goes the other way. So you go in making the right hand and then left hand shape. So right hand, go over them, keep your pencil really light. If you're finding that you're too like heavier handed, just slightly move your fingers a little bit further back, so you've still got the control, but it makes you a little bit more lighter because you kind of don't have a choice. If you go too far up your pencil, then you'll have no control. I used to have to be about this sort of distance. Now I can hold it right near the end because I've kind of taught myself to be a bit lighter. So I'm going to go right up to that edge there. So I'm going to keep going over it, and you can see even though I'm still being light, I'm not losing, or I'm not putting too much graphite down. And then they go quite long, but we're going to just keep sticking to this. So right hand up until this little corner, and then we're going to go left hand. Right to the edge of the bridge of the nose. By the looks of it, about there. It's very, very hard. Now if you're finding that your wrists are becoming sore, you're holding your pencil too hard. So just lighten your touch, lighten your grip. God, I was messing around with the colour pencils before, so apologies. I also have used bleach as well. I should really wear gloves when I'm using bleach to do the bathroom. You get that tinge around your nails. Okay, so just keep it nice and light. Right to the edge. And now we're just gonna, almost like straight lines, not too, yeah, like so. And then they slightly curve again to the right as we're going up towards that edge there. In the middle they're a little bit straight. And then they curve again. So it's just up there, like so. And then curve to your left curves. And you can hear that, you know, my light is so fit. Like so. And then straight. And then right hand curves again. And then just go over them again. And then we're going to use our blending stick. Hopefully blending sticks are nice and clean. Mine aren't. One end is, so I'll use that end. Now very, very lightly, just smooth them down right to the edge. And I'll just take those smaller lines away. But make sure you're still going in that same direction you've just drawn. You don't want to lose the directions there. Okay. Got a really harsh line there. Don't remember drawing that. That's okay. Okay. Now with your Tombow, there's not many just in the middle, so where they join, just do a couple little strokes down. Remember, do it in the same sort of direction. I'm only taking a small amount of graphite out here. Okay, like so. Very gently with your paintbrush, just smooth it out, or just brush it out. Now, go for your 2B, hopefully it's nice and sharp. We'll just see how this looks. So, same again. Yeah, it's not bad. So it's a little bit darker closer to the edge here. left hand side like so. Go right up. You might get the odd line like that goes a little bit too dark. That's okay. We'll smooth it out again. I probably will switch back to a 2H here because I think the 2B just might be a bit too much. But round the bottom with your 2B, just go right at the edge, just a little bit more pressure, not medium, like a happy medium. Just because it is a bit dark around the bottom, but you don't want to lose, you don't want it to be too dark, but there is a huge difference there. Don't worry if you've kind of lost this sort of shape here. I'm just gonna redraw it. I'm not expecting to be interrupted by the postman today, so fingers crossed. Go back to your 2H and just add some more lines in, more fur. Now this is going to be the same sort of situation with Diggle's Eye. At the start you're going to be thinking, what? And then it'll all just make sense. So what we'll do is it actually changes direction here. So you want to make it almost a gradual change, but not too gradual. So you see how like I just, on the back of those, just almost mimic their shape. There we go. Got the Macarena on. Wow, takes me back. And then just bring it back in. It's like you're kind of just mimicking the shape a little bit, just slightly, so it kind of makes sense. And then go back over again with your 2H. I think we'll use the 2H for a little while yet. Like so. Okay, now with this we're going to go right up now. So still got the same sort of shape going on, but it goes a bit straighter where it joins onto the bridge of the nose there. Just this zone here. Now I've already made a right hand shape from there. Now this actually now changes direction completely. We go back up like this. So I just wanted to show you that line. And they're quite long hairs. So I have, it's like an S shape. Okay, so your smaller blending stick, if you haven't got a blending stick you can use tissue. Just smooth that in together, especially these harsher lines, because you want it to make sense. You don't want it to be, they're not all individual hairs, you see, they all join in and then and you can do longer strokes. Yeah, looks good. So just go, still using the 2H for now. Made a really dark line there, that's silly. Doesn't matter though. So even I still make small mistakes. So keep with that, because then it goes straight in the centre again and then it crosses over into that side. Make sure you keep lifting your pencil up, because sometimes you'll see even when I'm drawing, where the pencil doesn't lift off the paper, you get like this. I had one just a second ago, a little oval shape at the bottom, and it's not an issue so much, especially on your first initial layers, but then they start to become a little bit more noticeable as you build up. You kind of don't want that. Okay, so we've done quite a bit there, haven't we? So get your blending stick out, or your piece of tissue. We just roll up a piece of tissue tightly. You can get this shape. Now you see where we've got quite big gaps? They're fine because they'll help you build up some fur with your Tombow. So I'm going to go for the Tombow. And we're just going to, just tiny little, in the same direction, just spread them out though. Don't go over each other. When you go over each other, then you lose that definition. I wish it was this easy with colour. I'm just gonna add a couple of little lines here. Okay. So very gently with your brush. You don't want to press too hard down with it because otherwise you'll smudge that graphite. Let's go for, I need to stop allowing these pencils to roll away. We'll go for the 2B. I'm just going to sharpen mine to make sure it's nice and sharp. I do get asked, you know, what sort of sharpeners do you use? For these ones, I use a Faber-Castell. Oh no, I don't. Sorry, I use a Staedtler. This is actually really quite one. I think this actually came in a set for my graphite, but colour one I use a Swordfish. Here we go. So I'm not going over the exact same pattern as what I've just done. Oh, it's quite heavy on the graphite there. Be very, very light. I am still going in the same direction, but I'm just going in between those small bits we've just done with the Tombow. Don't worry if you do catch a couple of them, it's fine, because this is only second layer, and so we want to have nice thick coat on this fox. And we'll just so yeah, when you're working with graphite, I would try and learn not to start with the eye. It's difficult when you're working on a commission because that is where that life's going to come into it, and you'll know straight away if it's their animal or not. If you're confident, start left to right or right to left, depending on which hand you use. So I'm going the wrong way here from my sort of style, because you can see I was struggling a little bit then. Remember to keep in that direction. Remember those little direction we did at the start. We're not losing that bone structure. I say be very, very light, because you'll see even with me, sometimes my graphite's a little bit too harsh. It's round, oval shapes, and then they go back the other way. Now you don't want your lines too regimented, because then it won't look like fur. Oh, it's so harsh. Okay, now there is a slight issue. You see here where it goes to the right and then it goes right off to the left. So what I want to do is just change that centre a bit, and then it's not as bad. Go for your, just work on that zone. Keep the direction. where my graphite's been a little bit too harsh, you can see the smudging's actually putting a lot more down than probably that I would like. So I'm just going to take the smudging a bit higher up, even though I haven't drawn up there yet. So it'll just pull it away from that zone. If you find that you've got a couple of bits there that are just a little bit too harsh, you can use your Tombow over them. Okay, have a look how that looks. Yeah, that's good. Okay, go for your 2H. We'll come back to it. We'll start just doing this bit now. Keep your strokes very short, very light, because they overlap like so. There's like a, it really does bend right over. Now for a moment it's not gonna look pretty, that's fine. But that's exactly how the fur is sitting here. You'll find this a lot with dogs as well and cats. Their fur just sweeps over very quickly. And it kind of like levels out again. Like so. So get your Tombow. Now this is just going to look like a whole load of graphite, just like you've just penciled it all in. You're going to lose that little bit of fur there, but we're going to go back over again with your 2H. And you're thinking to yourself, well, it's not really putting much down. It is. Your 2H is a very light pencil. That's why it's great for your base layers, because you can just remove it if you've done it wrong, or if you feel like you've done it wrong. Now these are a little bit longer over the top, these are short and these are quite long. I'm going over one more time. Remember, short to long. Probably being a bit tougher on my pencil here. Okay. Right, very gently with your blending stick. If you feel like it's too much graphite, just push it right off, like so. Right, your Tombow. The other thing I should really try and remind you is to keep it clean. So I always have like a, off the page, I always have another piece of paper and I just clean off the like excess graphite, because at some point it'll become too much on there and then it'll start putting it onto your page. So on your sharp bit, just gonna take, you'll probably find that you'll probably take quite a bit off, and that's fine because we're gonna re-pencil it. Okay, paintbrush, just gently off. Okay. Yeah, go for your 2B. We'll see how this goes. Remember not to go too much over what you've just, doesn't matter if it looks odd, you'll find that at the end. Just gonna actually go up like this, because, see that? This is actually hairs going into that eye a little bit. You don't want, the fur isn't always uniformed. It's always a little bit, you know, fur goes in all different directions, lays differently. You make it too regimented, like it won't look natural. you know, have been asked before, like if I will make certain areas on animals, you know, softer or less messy, but actually that's their animal. There you go. So you're just like creating that, you know, oh, the fur sitting here. So I'm just in that eye, creating that line with my 2B. I'm medium pressure here. Lovely. I like that, and I don't really want to change too much on that now, especially around that eye. So go back to your 2H and we'll just start going off up here. What you might find is you might go a bit, so I'm going your fur now. Sits like this. We probably will go over this bit, but these lines here, we're going to try and leave them alone until the very end, and then we'll have another good look at it. This fur now goes completely this direction, and it's quite long. Remember to keep doing oval shapes or moon shapes, whatever works for you. Because it's not straight. Okay, let's go back to this zone here. Now this fox has very strange fur. I found this when I was actually drawing him, like it goes up like this, but then all this hair here is all this way. So it kind of like, it's weird. It must just be the angle of the way the photo's been taken. Well, the fox just has very strange fur direction. But this is very long. Keep your lines quite close. Now, we're not going to go straight that way because this actually stays this sort of direction right up to the edge. This is the edge of the ear. We'll draw an ear another time. I didn't want to do a massively long tutorial on fur. So hopefully this goes up. If you make a little bit of a mistake, don't worry, because your blending stick can sort that out, and this is only the first layer. Okay, go for your blending stick or tissue, whatever you're using. Go for your 2B. My 2B's gone very harsh. That's okay. That's better. Could just been the angle I had my. Could just been slightly on the blunt bit. I don't really know. You'll see that I'll turn my pencils around quite regularly. Tries to keep them as sharp all the way around, so I don't have to sharpen them as much. Sometimes I do it without realising I'm doing it, but if you're wondering. Okay, it's not looking too bad. my 2B has blunted, I think. But it's okay. It's not really going to give me that definition as such. It's the Tombow that's going to bring that out for my fur, I think. Yeah, looks quite nice. Just going to smooth this out a bit more. Now this zone here is where his eyelashes come out, and it is quite a light zone above the eye. So we kind of want to bring that in. So this is how I'm going to show you how to ensure your white zones stand out. So go back for your 2B. Now just around it, we're just going to draw in some guide hairs, which are they're actually part of the bridge. So be a little bit tougher, but not too tough. So like a happy medium between light and medium pressure there. And then go a bit round like this. And just underneath as well, it's like, this is darker. One of the dark zones here. I want to bring that in. You start seeing that you'll bring it out, but there are some darker areas inside this. You don't want to make it too flat, and just by going around the outside, first of all you make it really flat, and then second of all you make it look too cartoony. But you want to show that there are some very light hairs there. And this is how you'll make like fur patterns. I have a lovely little tortoiseshell cat to draw this month in graphite, and this is how I'll get those different variations in her fur. Oh, a little bit too tough there, but it's okay. I probably will just slightly rub that out. That's tougher than what I would like. Now if you end up having to remove a section like that, just smooth it with graphite around rather than fill it in straight away. Okay, right, so I'm just going to go around the edge of what we've just done. Then in the centre, what you'll find with your graphite pieces is they start losing your lines. The more lines you're adding around it, the more you lose. It's really quite strange. So go back for your 2H. I'm just going to make a couple of little lines in this. Like so. Now, go for your Tombow. Make sure it's nice and clean and sharp. I'm just rubbing it off the page there. I never rub like to clean anything like a Tombow or any of them on the actual page, because you'll leave a mark. So very lightly remember that direction, don't lose it. Cool. I'm just going to go all the way around here as well. Go any sort of pattern you like. You don't have to follow my pattern as such, but make sure you don't go over the ones you've already done. Okay, brush it off. Now it's actually over. Just need to bring this in a little bit more. Better. That edge is not how I like it. Better. I like that. Ooh, nearly the wrong way. Go for your... I'm going to sharpen my 2B. I'm not happy with my 2B today. Though it is right at the end, so I do need to replace it, to be honest. So now I'm just going to... just encourage some of those hairs to stand out. I'm doing this so lightly. I don't want to make them... Well, this is how I make my white fur stand out. You can do this as many times as you like. Graphite, blend, Tombow. Graphite, blend, Tombow. A lot of the time, that is what I do. But don't forget, the Tombow isn't just going to give you... It's going to give you light coloured fur, but then you've got darker colour fur coming through as well. So you use little pencil strokes are going to be some of your dark fur sections. They're not just going to pull out those white hairs. You're also going to have to make some darker hairs too. It looks lovely so far. I love foxes. I think foxes are great. We have a couple around where I live. I've got well, last year we had a vixen with a couple of cubs. We haven't seen her, which is unfortunately very common with urban foxes anyway. Their life expectancy is only approximately 2 years, and that's due to traffic accidents. Here comes the zookeeper out in me. So we do have definitely one of her cubs still around. We see him quite regularly. I used to do a lot of feeding wildlife, but since I've got rabbits, we've got 5 that live outdoors, we don't really encourage the feeding so much anymore. Through winter, I help them out now and again. I just feed them across the road. There we go. Oh, it looks nice. Okay. We'll do a little bit of the fur around here, and then that'll give you an idea, and then you can either, I'll post the full reference photo of this zone up and you're welcome to continue it on, or whichever. It's not my reference photo, this is from Pixabay. I will talk to you a little bit about reference photos. So particularly with my page, you know, it's very important that none of you break copyright law. So any photo that's on the internet doesn't necessarily mean that it's royalty free. So if you draw something, say you download a photo from Google and you draw it and then you sell it, you could be breaking copyright law because you do not own that picture. The person who took that picture owns that picture. And so just because it's on the internet doesn't mean that it's anybody's. So it's important that whatever you pick to draw is either your own photo, using my 2B, sorry, is your own photo, you have permission. So for example, I drew a sun bear. I posted it on my page, no issue with that. It was personal use, but I didn't realise at the time it had a watermark, and it was very, 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 very well hidden. And it was only as I was finishing her up I realised she was watermarked. I was like, oh, I can't believe I've done this. Like, I've posted her on different groups. So I removed her from those groups. I left her on one because I knew that it'd be okay there. But I didn't post her reference photo. I just posted the drawing. And I then realised that, you know, I'd broken copyright law. So I actually emailed the photographer and I said, I didn't realise that this was actually copyrighted. Are you okay for me to use it? And I got a message back saying absolutely. So I was really lucky, is what I'm going to say. It was really, really nice, and I'm actually going to be using that photo to raise a little bit of money for the zoo I worked for. I just haven't got round to doing it yet. I'm just going to darken these zones here before we move on to the bottom bit, just because at the moment it's a little bit too light. So yeah, I was really lucky in that respect because I had broken copyright law. So when you're looking for photos to draw, you can either ask your friends if they would mind you using it and be very clear on what your intention is to use that photo for. But the other side of it is you can use a website called Pixabay. I think Shutterstock is another one. And you can find thousands of royalty-free pictures on there. If you're going to do that, it's still important to reference where you got the picture from, to ensure that, you know, people are aware that it is a royalty-free. So this one is a royalty-free. So this is from Pixabay. It's a lovely little photo. Fox looks very, very relaxed, very chilled out. So yeah, you're welcome to do whichever you like with this one. So I'm just gonna, it's like almost, so they stay this sort of shape, these little hairs, and they go really short, and there's like a dark zone in the centre. It's very strange, but then, so I keep with your 2H. So it's very dark. So I'm using medium pressure here. Like so. Still that sort of shape. Oh, it actually goes to the right a little bit here and then down. But the actual bridge of the nose actually goes this way. Weird. It's like a corner of the eye. In a minute it won't really look like much. That's fine. So what we're going to do, these are really short hairs. Now they change shape very quickly, so they go this direction and they stay a little bit short, like so, and then it goes almost straight to there. So they go like that sort of shape. So just keep building, but we're not going to keep, they're not long hairs. So next layer is the same length down. These join like so. But then that stays that sort of. Don't worry that we're not matching the lines properly here. Sometimes you can message photographers and ask if you can use their work with credit to them. Some photographers are really nice, some it's not that they're not nice, but they've also got their own bills to pay, so they might ask you to pay for the photo. They might ask for a percentage of the drawing. You've just got to get lucky. I was really lucky with the bear one. I mean, I don't want to use it. It's not really for personal use now. It's going to be to raise some money for the zoo, because it's one of their bears. It just depends what you want to get out of it. If you want to start drawing, just use your blending stick now. I'm just going to blend this in. If you want to start drawing to sell your prints, then you need to be honest and open with them. A lot of photographers are really nice and will be more than happy for you to just credit them. Choose 2B. So this is actually quite dark here. Don't really want to lose that eyelid at all, really. I don't want to blend it in too much to the eyelid is what I'm saying. You have to get as comfortable as you can when it comes to graphite, especially fur building, because you can see, I mean, we're an hour in nearly. We've only done so much. But I just wanted to give you an idea of how I build fur. Say a lot of other artists possibly do this a little bit different. That's fine. This works for me. This might not work for you. Sorry, it's me dropping a coaster. Now, the one thing I want to note about this little fox here, this area here is actually really quite light. So I kind of want to keep that. But at the moment we are just building later. So we'll use the Tombow to pull those little fur bits out. Now my 2B has gone blunt again. Sometimes they work quite nicely blunt, but for this, it's just leaving quite a bit of graphite residue, and I don't really like that. I like it for like this bit, because then you get those little dots, but I'm just gonna darken this bit here because I want to show that it's there. So weird sort of like little tiny hairs there. There's like a dark zone here. Must be the edge of the pupil. So I might be opening up a Patreon of my own. Just want to see like how this goes, and if people are enjoying it, then I will start doing more full body tutorials for everybody, which will take up a little bit more time. So if it's something that you'd be interested in, just let me know. Now don't worry if you lose these little guidelines here, because we're going to use the Tombow. I just want to smooth that graphite in. I have just used a very dirty blending stick. Not ideal. So grab your Tombow, make sure it's nice and clean. Okay, so tiny weeny little strokes, same direction as where the fur would be going. I want to get those little layers in. Okay, so I have lost a little bit there. I'm going to go for my 2H. just gonna, I'm not gonna go on the actual white bits as such. I'm just, you can see I've brought them back there, but I am gonna a little bit medium pressure just on that eyelid into the fur, just to show that they attach. You don't want it to be too unattached, because they do. Looks loads better. We'll go this bit here, so it goes, joins up as such. It's very light here. This is simulating light hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overlap my lines. Don't worry if they're messy, because this is actually very blended together, so we kind of just want to add some graphite down. And it goes down. Okay, go through blending stick. Just gonna, I almost want rid of my lines there. Go for your 2B, just for this. Oh, it's so, a couple of issues with my 2B today. It just puts a lot of graphite down in one zone, and it's not really what I'm looking for. But I'm gonna blend this in anyway. So I'm not actually lifting my pencil off the page. We don't really want it not to look like it joins in, because it does join into that. That's better. There we go. Just wanted to add some more hairlines in. No, keep with your 2B actually. Just gonna put bits of graphite down across this. If you've got a blunted part of it, use that rather than a sharp bit. You see that sharp bit just left a little bit too much down, and it goes down. I just wanted to add a little bit more graphite to this zone. Right, keep with your 2B. We actually haven't used any of the others yet, have we? I just want to show that first colour separation, where the fox obviously goes from like a deeper orange to a lighter colour, and then just add in a couple of darker spots there. I use quite dark in this zone. I think that's just where that eyelid, if you like, is. So I'm still using like the blunted end there. Smooth it out a little bit. Bring up your Tombow. Now I'm doing really small little triangles there, if you like a triangle, just to show that separation. And then just going to lighten up this bit just a little bit. I'm just going to lift a little bit of that graphite off, just a little smidgen. I want to just do this zone here because this is really thick fur, and I want to show that it's really thick. And this is all just going to be about your graphite changes. So this is my 2H, I'm sure you've already guessed, sorry. Go for your 2B. Now, here is quite deep. But it's not just the top bit, it's the bottom bit underneath as well. So you don't want to lose that for both sides. I'm just gonna go over this bit here. Okay. And then use your blending stick. I'm just gonna smooth that in. Not right. 2H again. I just want to show you these bits here. Hopefully, you're no longer scared of fur. There are certain animals that over time they crop up on my inquiry for a commission. Spaniels being one of them, won't lie. Go for your 3B, which I will do a spaniel tutorial in graphite, not in colour. But it's all just a little bit about practice. There's so many fantastic artists out there you can get some tips and tricks from. So you might use a couple from me, you might use a couple from somebody else. Whatever works for you to improve your craft. We're just gonna smooth off the page here because we're not gonna go much further with that because I think we've done quite well. Go for your tombow. Just gonna, long hairs, remember, around the edge. And then they're still long here, but they're short here. I just love graphite. I think it's such a beautiful medium to use and to learn on. I'm really excited. I've got my first one-to-one booked in for this month, so I'm looking forward to doing that. So if it's something you're interested in, just drop me a message. We'd do something a little bit like this, but a little bit more personal to what you would like to do. So me and this young girl are drawing horses together. Probably one of her horses, by the looks of it. The photo she sent me are really lovely, so I'm looking forward to doing that. So unfortunately it's a private one-to-one, it's not something I'm offering to everyone. It's not something I ever expected to do, so I just wanted to, whilst I just finish off this last bit with you, thank you for all your support. Even just following my page, like, it's such a huge support and just means I'm doing something right. You know, I never expected this to be anything. You know, I never expected the amount of followers and full books for the year. It's phenomenal. So I'm incredibly humbled. And there we go. I think that is the end of the tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed that and you've learnt a little bit about how to use your blending stick and your Tombow to your advantage when it comes to building fur. We could literally keep going with this. You could go all over it again and then go a bit more harsher with your Tombow. As I say, when you're looking at your reference photos, just remember there is a lot of like a softness in it. So here is the actual reference photo. So you can see like it's dark, all dark here, which is what we've just done, and it's really light. So just remember that as you're drawing, that you're not being too rough in certain zones. But say for instance you were quite dark on this side, you need to match it, and you'll probably find because of the angle this side's going to be much darker. But anyway, it's for you to learn. I hope, as I say, you've enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with, and thanks, and speak to you guys soon.